Hello everyone, I hope that you've been having an outstanding day. First of all, I really must thank Lindsay and John for allowing me to do these Chit Chat Tuesdays. Now this is a pre-record, so that's why I'm not saying hello to you, but who are watching as this is being premiered, hello and thank you for watching. There are two parts of the video. Some of you may have seen the second part, which is an interview with myself. I'd like to thank the wonderful Lynn Sindri. She's known as many different names. Most people know her as Nanny Lynn, but I've known her as the Ghost Lady, Mummy Lynn, Dream Witch, but to me she'll always be my very dear friend Lynn. She's such a warm, kind person, and she's been throughout encouraging me through all the steps I've taken, from when I was interested in becoming a radio presenter, a DJ. When I did the ghost walks with her, she was very encouraging to me, and she was also disappointed when I left doing the ghost walks after about a year to pursue NLP and hypnotherapy. But again, always encouraging and always saying how proud she was of me, which is so lovely to hear. And likewise, I'm really pleased and proud of what Lynn managed to achieve when she was the Ghost Lady of Gloucester. She's been on radio so many different times on Radio Gloucester. She's written 2 books, and her ghost walks after I left went from strength to strength. She got Sean and the late Dave to be scarers. She really put a lot of theatrical acting, she's actually a really good actor, into her ghost walks, which the people absolutely loved, and she really made the Gloucester Ghost Walks her own. I'm always delighted whenever I see her because I'm busy and she's busy with all her different things she goes on, but I'm very busy. We don't get to see each other as much as we should, but whenever we meet there's always a hug, there's always a kind word, and there's always fun and laughter. I hope you enjoy this first part of the interview, which is me interviewing my dear friend Lynn, and it gave me such pleasure to interview her, and I believe and truly know her warm, bubbly, kind personality really comes across during this interview. Well, this is lovely, isn't it?
This is yes, very nice. Yes, yeah. Lovely. And I'm so thrilled that you're on YouTube now as well.
Yes, which is good. Yeah,
and you need to come down and see me to get mine on, because I want to share some of your stuff on mine.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll do, we'll sort. I mean, if there is time later, I can maybe log in with my laptop if you're happy about giving me your code.
Oh.
And,
no problem. No, we'll leave it another day. We don't want to rush this, but we'll see. Yeah.
So let's talk about your very first sort of glimpse into the paranormal field.
Okay.
It would be nice to just kind of do it sort of friendly style. We've got water, we'll have coffee a bit later, and just kind of chill out.
So this is filming now then?
It is filming.
Oh dear. So you might have to edit it. What I'm saying.
I'm used to doing a lot of editing, so it's fine. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay then. This is lovely. This is Paul's therapy room. Yeah. So over to you.
Yeah.
Questions.
Yeah. So we'll go right to the beginning, I think, and we'll talk about other things because you mentioned about Caesar's nightclub, which you're pretty much your first paranormal experience, but we'll go sort of way before that, when your first interest spiked.
Yeah. Well, I think my very first I wouldn't say experience, but my I wouldn't say calling either, because I was only about 11. Might have been 11, might have been 12, I'm not sure. Anyway, I used to be very fascinated with churches and graveyards, and I used to do a lot of sketching, but because I can't draw, it was always stick people. I never ever really thought about why I was doing that, and I don't know, I just had that fascination with that. And then I started, Mum had a big upright piano in the living room, and I used to go in there, and I always loved to, I wish I could have been, you know, piano trained, but I wasn't, so I just plonking away, you know, anything. And it was always like somber, sad type noises, because it's not music, like you hear at churches. And of course, of tears flowing, literally tears flowing down my face. And eventually Mum would come in and say, shut that row up. So I had to stop. So that was the very, very first thing that I remember as a child. Why that was, or whether that was the start, put it in my head, I don't know. Because then nothing happened after that. Because obviously I was growing up. My dad passed away. So I had a lot to deal with. The next thing was when we'd moved to where we are now, I had this computer, and I used to go on a chat room, which was called the old MSN chat rooms, and there was a group of people that used to meet up in there. I think it was a secret garden or something like that. Anyway, I started talking to people, and they were talking about paranormal stuff and all this and that. So my interest became more apparent then, I suppose. And we decided to all meet up because we got on so well. And we decided to meet up, and a couple of them lived in London, and they said, well, we know Fred Batt, who owns Caesar's nightclub, and it's very haunted. And they're having a Q&A with the most haunted team. Should we meet up? So we said, yeah, let's do that then. And we went there, and there was 150 of us. So after Most Haunted did their Q&A, we were allowed to go around the rest of the nightclub with the lights off, just little emergency lights, and do an investigation. And Most Haunted went off then. And so that was when I seen my very, very first full-blown apparition. Do you want me to go into detail again, or just say it?
There will be people that have come to this for the very first time, so if you can say it, please.
Yeah, so I still get the shivers when I think of it, because myself and my friend Nikki, we decided to go up onto the balcony area. Everybody else scattered around the building, and it was just us two. And she walked in front of me about, I don't know what yards it is, 200 or 300 yards, not far. And I was following behind, and I had a camcorder. It wasn't a very good one, but I thought if I pick something up, I do. If I don't, I don't. And I was walking along, and as I said, it was all dark, just the emergency lights on here and there. So I calls out to Nikki. I said, well, I can't pick up anything, it's too dark, but I might get some sound, something, so I'll carry on. And then I shouted up to her and said, where is it you said there was this person that haunts up here? I don't want to say the name just yet. Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah. She said, up, not far from where you are, I think. So I said, okay then, that's fine. Then I never heard her anymore. She must have been carrying on walking. And I was filming and looking through the viewfinder of the camcorder, and suddenly stopped dead, because right in front of me was a doorway that was well lit up, and there was a lady stood in this doorway. I could see white tiles behind her, and stairs going down, and some more stairs going up a little bit closer. And I said certain words that she'd frightened me. Mm-hmm. And she put her finger up to her lips and went, shh, they're doing a seance. And I said, pardon? She said, shh, they're doing a seance downstairs. I went, oh, sorry. And off I went.
Sorry? I said it's just people down there.
Oh, right.
I said it's just people down there.
Oh, right.
And that was it. I went. I caught up with my friend and the other friends, and I never said a word to them. Not a word. Which is highly unusual when you're a paranormal investigator, because you want to tell your friends so that they would experience the same thing as you, hopefully. But I never. And it wasn't till I went home the next day, 6 o'clock in the morning, caught the train from London to Gloucester, got home, and I slept for 15 hours. Now, 15 hours is not unusual for me because I got fibromyalgia, but coupled with the overnight, I was tired, to say the least, exhausted. But I woke up and suddenly thought, what the hell happened last night? And I started thinking about it. And I thought, why didn't I tell Nikki? Why was I the only one to see her? Why was that lit up and everywhere else was dark? And I thought, my mind was going crazy. I rang Nikki up. She said, no. She said, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I said, well, you should have done, because you were in front of me. She said, no, honestly. And I said, well, didn't you find anything unusual? And she said, the only thing I found unusual is you went quiet the rest of the night. Which, as people know me, they would know that I do talk for England. So, yeah, it's unusual for me to go quiet. So we laughed at that. And then I got in contact with Phil Wyman, who used to be with Most Haunted. And I told him what I saw. And he said, if you've debunked everything that people, nobody's purposely tried to frighten you or whatever, he said, you have actually described the spirit or the ghost of Ruth Ellis, the last woman in Britain to be hung. Now, I saw her face, everything she wore, literally as close as I am sat to you, Paul. That's how close we were. And I sometimes wonder, what if I'd have gone up and touched her? My hand would have gone through, I don't know. Anyway, I said, oh, wow. And he said, yes, she used to haunt there. She used to work there, so she haunts there, because that's where the kitchen was that she used to work in and host in. That would explain why there was no door but a doorway. So I thought, oh, wow. So I got my camcorder out, and there was nothing to see. But you could hear her voice and my voice. And I was absolutely gobsmacked. And my son, when he was alive, bless him, put that on CD for me, so it would be easier. Because the camcorder I had then was the old VHF, great big clunky cassette things, weren't they? So he's put that on a little CD for me. Yeah, that was my tape. I sent off to experts that analysed it, and they did send it back, and they said that is definitely a spirit voice on there, because they have higher octaves, is it, than us?
Something like that. Yeah.
So we would say you've captured a voice there. So that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I only regret was nobody else saw her, because when I tell this story, some people might think, yeah, right, whatever. But I know what I saw.
Yeah, and
I know what I heard, and I got the voice.
Yeah.
And I got a description spot on. So that was my very, very full-blown apparition, my first apparition. And then since then, I've seen another lady, and luckily 4 or 5 other people. That was at Woodchester Mansion, where we saw a young lady, slim, tall, had her head down, looking very sad, and she walked from the end of the corridor into a wall. Yeah, and through the wall. Not into the wall, through the wall. So that was my second one. But over the years, since seeing Ruth Ellis, I have developed and opened up a lot more. And even so, the last 2 or 3 years or 4 years since I've accepted and worked with angels, everything now has gone, to my mind, I've gone from one level to another, as a child, as an adult, and then now, and spiritualism and crystal readings. I do crystal readings as well now, which I never thought I'd do. And it's just gone on several different levels. And I can help more people, which is what I've always wanted to do. And I've written 2 books. That's it, really. Well, I say it. It's not, because there's loads of things I've done, seen, said, heard. Since I've been doing my crystal readings, I think I've opened up a heck of a lot. Because, as I said, I can help people. I used to do psychic suppers and sit at the tables with the other mediums, but I found that I wasn't very comfortable doing that. It felt more like entertainment, and I wanted to be, it was helpful, but I've moved on from that because I like to do a one-to-one.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's more private, and if the person gets emotional, I can deal better with that than if you're at a table with other people.
Yeah.
So I do like to do it that way. So I've really moved, literally, as I say, on different levels. One of the strangest things about me moving on in different levels is I used to drink a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
You used to love it. Well, you still love to party, but with soft drinks now.
Yeah, I used to like Pinot Grigio.
Yeah.
And I've named my cat that.
Oh,
although
bless.
he's black and Pinot Grigio's white. But and I was finding that I was drinking too much. Not alcoholic length, but level, sorry. But 2 or 3 bottles of wine to myself a week, or sometimes more. I found it was a little bit too much. Anyway, I still carried on, and one night I had some, and it tasted horrible. So I had another glass of something else, I think, and that tasted horrible. And I thought, what's going on here then? So I tasted quite a few drinks, even cider, whatever. Everything that was alcoholic tasted horrible. And I suddenly clicked. When we do readings of any kind, we're not supposed to drink. Because otherwise you're not clear-headed, you can't give proper messages, and you, if anything, just drink water. And I thought, I know what's happened. The powers that be, the angels, have stopped me liking drink. Everything tasted vile. So I thought, okay, fair enough. And I stopped just like that.
Yeah.
No problem whatsoever to stop. Just stop like that. And now I just drink water, coffee, or Coke.
Yeah.
Or milkshake. I do like my milkshakes. And I'm fine with it. And it's been a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I have tried now and again, but it's still the same. And I feel, okay, I've been told off and shown that if I want to continue with my spiritual work and my crystal readings, then don't drink. Since then, I've opened up even more, or I've been helped even more to get valid, accurate readings across. And even talking to people like I'm talking to you now, Paul, I suddenly get a name. And I say to the person, sorry to interrupt, but do you know so-and-so? And 9 times out of 10 it's right. Yeah, so that's more of a development as well. So to me, I just feel so whole inside now that way.
Good.
It's a great comfort to know that the angels are with me, and I read my angel cards every day.
Yeah.
And they always, I always say, "Good morning, angels," and I kiss the card back.
I think that's very important doing that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I said, you always look after us, so how are you all today? Very busy, I should imagine.
Probably.
And then I shuffle the cards and see what pops out. I mean, sometimes they fall out, sometimes one just pops out from the pack, and I know that's the one. And since losing my son, the card comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Of saying that don't worry, your loved ones on earth and in heaven are protected and loved by God, something like that. And it's very, very reassuring. Good. Especially if I feel a little bit low that day. And also another one that always comes up is the animals one.
Yeah, you do love your
You've
animals.
I have a special bond with animals, and your loved ones are looked after in heaven and earth again as well, and your deceased, your deceased and loved ones. So I can't remember the exact words, but that's the two main ones that I always like to see and get.
Yeah.
So the other ones could be anything, like you need to look after yourself and pamper yourself, because if you look after yourself, people will see that, blah blah blah, and that's what's happened lately.
Yeah.
I have pampered myself. I've had my feet done, and I'm gonna have an Indian massage next week. So there you go. But overall, my spiritual being and working with the angels has been my most achievement and reassurance and satisfying.
Yes.
And because I feel like that way, I think that generates to other people.
Yeah, I totally
And I
agree.
think that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with that. I do need to relax and meditate more because other things get in the way. But if I'm okay when I'm out and I'm doing readings and it's working, then that's happy. I'll deal with the rest myself.
It's completely gone off, but I just think of it because it might help you now. With meditation, Rose Elliott, I think it's Rose Elliott, she actually recommends setting your watch, which I have got, which I haven't set this one because it makes bleeping noises. I've set it for my thinking, what I'm thinking of on the hour. Am I thinking positive or negative?
Yeah.
But if you set like a watch or maybe on your phone for it to bleep every hour, you can think, right, okay, if it's possible to do it, just to take 10 sort of deep, slow meditation breaths, just 10 of them on every hour, and then that would be a really good thing to build up.
Okay.
In the practice of doing it.
And what's her name? Rose Elliott?
Rose Elliott. I'm sure it's Rose Elliott. When I used to work at the Isbourne, I got a little bit of an interview with
I can look her up.
So yeah, I can send it across to you as well.
Oh, brilliant.
She also does vegetarian cookery, and I think one of the book's called "Oh No, Not Another Whole Load of Old Lentils" or something.
yeah.
But to show how much more interesting vegetarian cookery can be.
To what it used to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, oh no, that's good. It doesn't mind going off topic because, again, that's another level, isn't it?
It is.
It's another level on my journey, if you like. So thank you. I'll enjoy that.
We were going to say books, which I think instead of showing it to the camera, I'll just get a shot up on the screen.
Yeah,
That would be really good. We'll talk about your first one. And what I thought I would do is we talk about the very first book, and then we talk about the second book. But before we go into the second book, I thought I'd randomly open a page and point to something, and then that was something where you've heard a story about or investigated in, and I'm sure it will be a really interesting story. That's my hope anyway, and I'm going to touch some wood.
Don't forget though, other people's stories are in there. So,
yes, absolutely.
And I did write it, I know, but I don't always remember what I wrote. I mean, that was 7 years ago, so
if it's wrong, I'll say we'll cut this bit and then do another one.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah,
okay,
go for it.
So the first book, so they were actually told to do this one in 3 months' time. The Paranormal Gloucester.
I did,
and it is signed. I've got my mum's one or my one here. I've actually picked up mum's one to my darling friend Moira, love Lynn, but I've also got another one signed as well by yourself.
Yeah, so, lovely.
Yes, so how exciting was that to be actually asked to do a book?
Yeah, I never ever thought I would.
Yeah.
Never. Because although I was like top in English, bottom in maths at school, I did like writing and scribbling and doodling, like I said, with the churches and all the rest of it. And then I can't remember how it came about, actually. I think the lady from Amberley, she was like an agent or something, contacted me and said that she knew about my ghost walks, etc. And I said, I never thought of that. So she met up with me and we had a coffee somewhere. And I said, okay, well, and she explained what happens. And I said, okay, I'll have a go then. And from then on, I had like a sort of a contract, I think. I can't remember signing anything, but there was like a deadline that they wanted it out by. I know it must have been a deadline because everything was in my head and all I had to do was get it down on paper. And I was typing away and all the rest of it. And then I was aware of how long it might take. So sometimes I was staying up till 3 in the morning because however I felt or I wanted to do some writing, it had to be the right time. You couldn't just do it, even though there was a deadline. I had to be right in my own mind to do it. So I was doing it at various different times, but most of the time it was in the day, and I was just bump, 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 putting it all down. And then all of a sudden, it was done. And we met up again. I actually gave her all the... I printed it all out for her. That was what we did then. And she took it away. And I think somebody proofread it, whatever. And then the next time we met, we'd arranged for a book signing at Cafe Rene.
That was a fun night.
That was a good night, yeah. And all my books were there. And I nearly cried. I don't know whether I did or... To see my own name on a book
Yeah.
was amazing.
I remember you picked one up and you went, yeah.
Did I? Oh, there you go. See, I forgot that bit. Yeah. But it was great because we had the mayor, the sheriff, yourself, your mum. Everybody was there, weren't they? Everybody
yeah.
was there. And it was an amazing night. And Cafe Rene put on a nice... did we have food or did we have just a drink? I think we just had a drink.
I think it was just drink, but we were allowed to hire the restaurant. I think it was after 9 o'clock when people start relaxing their efforts of eating at that point.
That's
so,
it. Yeah, we did. Yeah, so that was a really great, very, very satisfying to see my name on a book, you know. And I always joke and say, you know, if you read it, there's no big words in there because I don't know big words and I don't know how to spell them, but there might be a couple, which always got a laugh. So, you know, and it was mainly about how I started with the paranormal and how I developed into it. I'm not sure whether I don't know whether I mentioned the ghost walks then. I don't think I did I?
I think you did.
Did I? I might have
done. I'm either getting the two books confused in my head by now.
And I mean, there was another lovely experience that I added in there about my brother.
Yes, yeah. Very personal.
Yeah, and very personal. And I couldn't say goodbye to him. Well, I could, but I didn't want to. That's a bit of a story as well. They'll have to read the book.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I know he was there for me one night. He was holding my hand.
Yeah.
And when I told my husband, he said, no, it's a dream. I said, no, it wasn't a dream. I couldn't say goodbye to Pete.
Yes.
So he came and I could feel his hand go in for my hand. And then as soon as I properly woke up, I cried.
Yeah.
And I realised that it was him. And he had cane. Tony Grumpy didn't believe me, but I don't care. I know what I. As
you know, it's your truth. And it's truth and everything. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was another experience, and so that took 3 months to put all that down, which I was really, really chuffed with. But as I say, it was all in my head. I just needed to go on paper. But the second book, Gloucester's Ghost and Giggles, it took me 7 years before I wrote that and published it. Not because it was hard, just things got in the way, I suppose. And I didn't have a deadline.
Yeah.
So I could do it as and when. It's like my third book. I've started that, but I'm nowhere near.
Yeah, I'm going to put something in for it as well because you wanted people's lockdown experience. So it's probably might have changed, you know.
Exactly. I spoke to somebody yesterday about it and said that that one's not paranormal. It's about how we've coped with lockdown and all the rest of it. And obviously things have changed.
Yes.
Again since then. So I got a lot more to add to that. But the Ghost and Giggles one was mainly about the Gloucester Ghost Walks that I did. For 14 years with my lovely friend Paul, who sat here. We started together.
I actually did the forward in this one
You
as
did
well.
the forward in the Paranormal Gloucester. You did indeed. Yeah, we had such fun, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. It was good.
So it took 7 years for that one to come out. But as I said, no particular reason. I was just, face it, being lazy.
Well, maybe it was just all the right time and everything.
Yeah, I think so, because with the first one, I just knew when I had to write it and when
Yeah.
what time and how much and how long I could, With the second one, it was more fun and not so personal.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that worried. But the first one was,
Yeah.
it had to be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both wonderful books. I'm going to just flip to a page and see what we come up with. So,
Go on,
right. And this hasn't been, so this is probably the best one that could have opened. And I don't know, anybody can see that's probably a bit smaller on that one there. But it's come up with Cafe Rennie, pub and restaurants.
Ah, well, there you go.
So that worked out okay. That's what you can
did
remember.
work out. We've just been talking about that. Yeah,
Yeah, so-
absolutely.
I mean, there's probably so many experiences. I think it's one of the few places I've been to where you could pretty much almost guarantee to have some paranormal activity happen there whenever
Oh,
night
yes.
you choose
He's
to
coming,
go.
Victor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, was that one you recorded?
That was one that I captured,
yeah.
Since making these features, I have listened to these recordings over and over again. To me, one recording stands out as saying, "She's coming, Victor." Then, a quiet, "It's her," followed by, "Be brave." However, that's only my opinion. What do you think?
I recently read somebody else remembering about that, and they said that.
Really?
Yeah, it was recent too. Well, I don't know who it was, but I remember they said that they heard the "He's coming, Victor." But yeah, that's a fantastic place down there.
Yeah.
I haven't been down there for a long time. But yeah, it's got a lot of history.
Yeah.
A lot of history, and the Roman well that is outside,
Yeah.
but it's inside, if you know what I mean, because
Yes.
they built around it.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. Yeah. So you have to read the book for those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you've experienced sort of several things down there, and when you did the ghost walks and had the scarers and the wonderful Lake Dave down there, did they actually experience anything whilst they were waiting to frighten people by getting frightened or spook themselves?
They did hear the odd noises. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did hear the odd noises, but overall, there wasn't anything. But they wasn't really tuned in. They was getting into position to scare people.
Yeah.
And Dave was, bless his heart, he was amazing. I mean, the queue. One of the times that we had to, I had 17 French students and the lady that looked after them, and Dave was behind a wall behind me, and he had to come out at a certain queue when I said that Abraham Saunders used to had this building and used down here to store his wine because it was nice and cool.
Yeah.
And there was a certain point in that he had to come out and get out of my pub or out of my cellar, something like that. Yeah. And he scared the life out of all these. Of course, it was dark, look, but then some of the lights went on when he come out and they saw his mask. He had a white... Sometimes he had a mask, sometimes he did a white face, but the paint on his face was playing up, so he eventually had a mask and top hat, the black, the lot. And they were frightened to death. And I remember that one student, young lady, sat down. And I said to the elderly lady, or the older lady, sorry, "Is she all right?" And she said, "Yeah, she's fine." No, she's fine. I said, "Okay." Sorry, playing it.
Yeah, it should be alright, yeah.
Because so I hope she's okay. Yeah, she'll be fine. She's got a heart problem. I went, "What? You're joking?" And she looked at me strange, and I said, "Madam," I don't know why I had to say that. "This is a ghost walk. You're unlikely to be scared." I said, "You should have told me. I could have killed her, or he could have killed her with fright."
Yeah.
And she's, no, she's fine. And the young girls verified that she was fine as well. But from that day on, when I met people before the walk, before we started the walk, I always used to say, has anybody got any illnesses or any fears?
Yeah.
Tell me now,
Yeah.
because you're not claiming on my insurance.
Yeah.
I do remember that bit.
Yeah.
It was a lesson. It was a lesson to learn that, yeah, it was a bit of fun. We had a good time. It was scary. It was, you know, and it was very important that happened in a way,
Yes.
so that I would know in future to ask that question.
Yeah.
And that was just one of many incidents down there. You know, I mean, Dave, again, bless his heart, scared this one man so much in St Michael's Tower that the man elbowed him in the face and ran out the door and up Eastgate Street, and his wife was on the floor where he'd pushed her over, and he just left her.
Nice.
He was that scared.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, there's been loads of different things.
Yeah.
Going down 10th Century Alley, called Pinchbelly Alley, used to be. It's now called Mercer's Entry.
It's always Pinchbelly Alley to me.
Oh, it's always Pinchbelly Alley to me as well. And very long, narrow 10th Century Alley that's still used today.
Yeah.
And amazing down there as well. I mean, I remember that Dave and Sean, my other scarer, they used to hide in little alcoves along that alleyway, and I would come up the other way, and they'd hear me. Anybody would hear me, and they went, "Oh no, she's here. She's early. She's always late. She's early this time." And they'd both bought fish and chips, and one of them run into the alley, into their alcove where they had to hide so fast. It was Dave. It literally hit the door that was there, and all his fish and chips went on the floor. So he was moaning at me after. He said, "You owe me some more fish and chips." And people would walk along and said, "God, somebody had fish and chips along." That was another funny experience. But I mean, I could go on and on and on. I won't, because you've got to read my book.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at this moment in time now, I'm happy.
Yeah.
What I'm doing.
Excellent. Right, okay. Lily's Restaurant and Tea Room.
Oh, right, yeah. Now, that's a lovely little place. That's down, what's the name of it? College Street?
Yeah, I think so,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is a lovely little place. It's one of those streets that's got some nice shops in, and you feel like you're on holiday. You're like a tourist. And I went in there, and the lady in there told me about things that have happened in there, like people have seen a gentleman sat in the corner, and then he's disappeared. But one of the main things they said that they had this very large coffee machine on the counter, and it actually flew off the counter one day. Whether it fell off, flew off, I don't know. So I said, well, I'll go in and I'll do an investigation. As it happened, for some reason we never got round to doing it, but so that was one of the main things in there. And what's strange about it as well is that place where it's situated is right next to the old medieval wall of Gloucester. So there may be a connection with that, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think they said they've had the odd smell as well. I can't remember the story in there. I'm just thinking off the top of my head whether that's everything. But it is a lovely place. And it gets packed.
Yeah, we'll have to go in there for a coffee sometime.
Absolutely. And they do lovely meals too.
Yeah.
And they do meals for yourself. Vegetarian meals and stuff,
It's all good.
So yeah, absolutely. Lovely. Yeah.
So I thought, because roughly so we've got sort of time, I'll get us a coffee in a second.
Okay.
But, you know, if you kind of sort of say one thing that a real wonderful... What joy you've got out of the paranormal, just like, you know, just one thing, there's loads of joy you've had out of the paranormal. What would you say that would be? This all spiritual world, what would that be?
The main thing about all of this, all of the paranormal, all of the ghost walks, and I do not BS, I do not BS, is meeting you.
Oh, bless you. Oh, I'm going to give you a hug in a second. Oh. Oh, well, bless you then.
It's true. Because I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, Len.
So much.
Oh,
And I love your mum
yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Group
You've
hug
both
later.
helped me more than you realise. You're wonderful people. You're loving, caring. And you've helped me, and we've had some laughs.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of laughs as well.
Yeah.
So that's that's the main thing that I remember.
Yeah. Oh, bless you.
And then everybody else along the way
Yeah.
has been brilliant. Too many to mention.
Yeah.
Some have passed and some have left to do other things. But, you know,
I've got tissues over there.
no, it's fine. It's okay. Yeah, so, I mean, and the next thing is asking the angels to come into my life.
Mm.
They've helped me enormously. Enormously. And I've opened up more. I've developed more. And I do believe they've helped me with even like seeing my son 2 days before his funeral walk past the window. I don't think I'd have ever seen anything like that when I first started.
No.
So it's got stronger, and I think it's got stronger because of the angels.
Yeah,
and the people that I've met along the way. Lindsay and Paul, they're amazing people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got loads of friends that far too many to mention.
Yeah.
You know, Mitch, Carol Vickers, Carol Beesmore.
I have a list of thank you everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
That would probably take about 20
Oh yeah,
minutes of the
I
names
think on my
coming out.
first book I got a list there, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that sums it all up really.
Yeah.
And even my husband has started to think about things, whereas at one point he was very, very skeptical, but he started to think about things now.
Good, yeah.
Because I think I've not encouraged him as such, but I have explained a few things to him, little things, because most of it goes over his head and he didn't believe it and stuff. But yeah, so I think he started to come around because he recently had a dream that Sean was right by him.
Yeah.
But Sean was portrayed as a little boy, and he was cuddling up to Tone.
Yeah. Oh.
And I said to him, that wasn't a dream. That was Sean visiting you because you've been so upset. And he wanted you to remember him as a little boy of when he was okay.
Yes.
When you used to play with him and Dean and all that. I said, and he didn't want you to see him as he was when he was older and drinking.
Yeah.
And he cried.
Yeah.
He cried. I think I did as well. But I think,
Yeah.
I think a whole list of things. But I think I've sort of explained
Yeah.
that as everybody that comes into my path now
Yeah.
has made an impact in how I am now.
That's a lovely way to finish. I'm going to give you a hug now.
I thought I wanted to say the end. Cheers, darling. Thank you.
Hello, for those of you that didn't see the very beginning of this is a pre-recorded video. I had a reasonably late client today, and either when the start of this I would have still been in the session with the client or literally just finished. So because of that, this is a pre-recorded. Now these are interviews that you've just seen the first part with me interviewing the wonderful Lynn Sinry, known to so many as Nanny Lynn, and I was really, really surprised at the end how emotion she got when she was talking about her friendship, which it really touched me, and I wasn't expecting it. I know that we've always had a close friendship, but it was emotional to hear that part. We had a nice hug afterwards, and as I said in the first part, for those of you who might have missed, her wonderful, kind personality really comes through. And Lynn has so many friends, so many people who admire her, and I think you can just see why during this interview why she's liked so and loved by so many people. I'd also like to again thank John and Lindsay for giving me these Chit Chat Tuesday slots. I'm realising that some of you may have seen this second part that's coming up, which is the interview that the wonderful Lynn did on myself. But so some of you might be tuning off. I'm not sure. You might want to watch it again, those of you who have seen it. But I thought at this point would be the ideal time to give a few mentions of up-and-coming guests that will be appearing on Chit Chat Tuesdays. I did really like the group chats I've been doing, but I've decided pretty much from now on to go with individual people, because I can spread people more throughout the year, and keep it a mixture of different people to really get a different ideas in the paranormal field, which I hope will be interesting for you. So first of all, the first one that's coming up, not really paranormal based, but that's I believe Lindsay and John will be interviewing me, and another wonderful person called Steve. They've met at, I believe, the Spiritualist Church, and he does NLP as well, but he does it more on a spiritual footing, whereas I'm pretty much the classic NLP with working with my clients. There's various other NLP. There's New Code NLP, there's energetic NLP as well, but I pretty much do classic NLP, but I also like throwing a lot of psychology in as well. Amelia Cotter, she's been on my channel a few times. She's a ghostwriter, been on Paranormal Television, the RIP Files, those that have seen that. And then to mix up a bit, Carol Green, who's a medium, wonderful medium, wonderful stories. I've seen her when I worked at the Earsborne. That's on the 26th of April. Alex from the Spooky Stuff, wonderful YouTube channel, is the 3rd of May. And the Feminine Macabres, Amanda, or she's also got a wonderful Facebook page and website called Spook Eats. She's going to be booked in at some point. So here's my interview now. Lovely. So my turn now.
Yes.
I want to say thank you, Alex, for the coffee mugs. You gave me them when I worked at the Guildhall with you, and every single client that wants a coffee or tea.
Ah, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh. So it's Paul's turn now.
It is, yes.
And I'm interviewing the lovely Paul.
Thank you.
And we've got lots to talk about.
We do, yes.
And how Paul started with his NLP, and then they've progressed to the past life regression.
Yeah.
So Paul, what was your main interest and how you started your first journey onto where you are now?
It all started because I wanted to get into radio broadcasting, as you know, and that's how we first met through doing the
you were a DJ,
show.
yes.
I was a DJ and did a radio show, interviewed you, which is on my YouTube channel. The wonderful features I put with the wonderful Lynn Sindri, although she's known many different names. Nanny Lynn. Mummy Lynn, I remember at one point.
Yes, it was Mystic.
Yes.
Yeah, the Ghost Lady. Yeah.
And
anyway, it's your interview.
I almost flipped back over then, didn't I?
We did.
And I just had this sort of fear of, like, I would do small things and I'd think that I had to phone up. You know, when you want to do anything that so many people want to do, like radio broadcasting, DJing, I always had the fear that people go, well, what expects you want to hear from an unknown like you, and possibly some swearing or something.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of was held back from that. I wasn't really pushing myself forward.
Right.
So we were on holiday, actually. It's when my dad was unwell. Yeah, it's plugged in, good. It was when my dad was unwell, and I picked up a book. I think it was my mum recommended it. Not sure if she even bought it me, but Paul McKenna, Change Your Life in 7 Days.
Ah, yes.
And I already done some Paul McKenna cassettes, it was then, for to begin with Sensational Snooker. And for those who played snooker with me, they would realise I haven't listened to it for a very long time. And I did one for exam confidence as well, because I was getting really nervous with exams. But I still had this fear of rejection in pushing myself forward. So I bought the Paul McKenna Change Life in 7 Days, and it really did make a big difference to me. I was going to nightclubs. I no longer had the shake in my voice when I was like asking. There was a whole thing about using your walk up to where you got to go to build your confidence. And I would do that as well, which was really good.
Yeah.
And then I got so fascinated with that, and it's when my dad became unwell with cancer. He started first of all listening to Paul McKenna, then he listened to another person who did like a healing hypnosis, and he was really quite happy throughout the entire time. With a lot of people would be stressed, would be sad,
Yeah.
what was going inside, but he always seemed really a light, positive person. And I remember a lot of the doctors and nurses would always ask him questions, like if they had boyfriend, girlfriend troubles, they would go in and have a chat to him, and he had such a calming personality.
Yeah.
And with the healing hypnosis, he couldn't use his legs, became bedridden, bedbound in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But a little bit of strength was going to come back, and also so he couldn't write with his hands, with signing things, but listening to the disc, he started getting some movement back into it.
Wow.
But unfortunately, because he was in bed, he got a blood clot, which eventually
yeah.
passed away
Yeah.
from that, which was really sad. But
Oh God, yeah.
I
I'm
think-
so sorry, Paul.
thank you. But I think from that, it was really. I thought, this is what I want to do with my life, is to inspire and help people. So that's how I
Yeah.
got into the NLP, the Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Looked around for several different courses, come across a wonderful lady, Kim Phillips, started a diploma, then did the practitioner, then the master practitioner, and then learnt hypnotherapy as well. And on the hypnotherapy course, Dr. Raymond Roberts was the teacher of that. He did a bit of past life regressions, and then it was when I was doing a ghost investigation with yourself at Caldicott Manor, I think it was.
Oh right.
I think it
in
was
Wales.
Caldicott Manor in
Well,
Wales.
yeah.
It was a private house, so I can't actually see exactly where it was now, but
Yeah.
I remember there was a little room, and I think I said to yourself, who knew the organiser, I've just learned how to do past life regressions, can I do some? And I had 3 people wanted them to be done, and from then you booked me to do a psychic event where I had a little room and did some, and then it just sort of took off from there. So I'm really
Yeah.
grateful, because I think at one point it might have just been, this seems really a fun thing to do, and I don't think I actually would have realised, that I could have really gone as far as it was in the past life regression if it wasn't for doing that paranormal investigation to begin with. But I think, although I'm known for the NLP, I think I'm known mostly on the Facebook circles and groups of doing the past life regressions.
Yeah, it is fascination.
It is, yeah.
for most people. But I deem that as you had a calling. That
yeah.
was your journey start, and as I had my calling.
Yes.
So that, it was meant to be. I do firmly believe there's no coincidence. It was meant to be, and you've just progressed, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
You
yeah.
worked really hard.
Yeah.
I know you work really, really hard, and you've helped so many people. And, you're getting quite a celebrity.
Yeah.
Loads of people know you now.
Yeah. It's funny when I'm in the streets and I was going round one day and somebody said, "Hi Paul, how you doing?" And I was saying, "Yeah, really good, having a good chat." Who on earth are they?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, they know you, but you don't know them. But that's brilliant, because as I say, you work really, really hard, and you've helped so many people, and in turn, it's also helped you, I believe,
Yes,
and your
absolutely.
mum to cope with, I don't know whether cope's the right word, with your dad's passing and stuff, and it definitely is, to me, a calling. But with the past life regression, it's very, very popular. And I know you've got this lovely room here that we're in to do your NLP and therapy and help more people. But people are very curious about past lives.
Yeah.
And that's all that they deem that as like a spooky thing, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spooky stuff that I do.
Yeah. But I mean, you've had so many people, including myself, and the validation that have come out of these sessions of past life regression, as I know now about Steve Mulligan.
Yes.
And if you'd like to talk us through that one, that'd be
so
fantastic.
It started, the very first time I started doing online sessions was Tim from Ghosted UK. He just did like a chat
Oh,
with me
yes.
and said, "Can you hypnotise me?" And I said, "Well, I've no idea if it would be able to be done online. Never tried it before, but let's give it a go." And this was during lockdown, so people weren't getting out and seeing. And I kind of thought, well, I do it if it doesn't happen, it doesn't work online, sort of things. And I was delighted how well it actually worked.
Yeah.
And then from then on through, you putting myself forward, I had a session with Jane Harris, which was really good, from My House is Haunted, Paranormal HD.
Yes.
And then eventually got to Steve Mulligan, who had a very compelling past life regression.
Absolutely.
Sidney Sutcliffe, a person who mostly grew up in Llandudno in North Wales, became a lieutenant in the Flying Corps and got shot down near Cambrai in the First World War. And something I want to put and say to people here is that I did put down a press release, and it got into the Mirror, which was really exciting to see. The Star, several other different newspapers as well. It was the North Wales Post, Daily Post, that was it, that it originally got into. And it was Annie Owen was the person who wrote the story up to him from my press release. So I'm grateful to her for writing the story, because it got round. But I did put the press release as he was a flight lieutenant, and re-watching the regression back, he never actually says he was a flight lieutenant, just said I'm a lieutenant. Mentions the Flying Corps, and he weren't known as a flight lieutenant because it was all part of the airplanes flying part of the army to begin with, before it went to the RAF separately. So it was only from just after this person, Sidney Sutcliffe, would have passed away, that he became, would have been known as a flight lieutenant. But at that point, when he was talking, he just said, I'm a lieutenant, I'm in the Flying Corps. I'll probably put in the description of this video the exact words that he used, but I found that quite compelling, because it's those little bits and pieces that people don't really kind of know about. It was really, really good. Steve's got sort of a lot of interest from it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, they went there, didn't they? And
they did go there, and saw where Sydney was.
It's all validation. I mean, that's been your most success one. I mean, they've all been successful, but this is the one that's very successful and proved that it's successful and validated even more. It may get more people interested. Well, I know it will get more people interested in what you do. I mean, I know you've done lots and lots of past life regressions with people. I mean, I can't even remember how many you've done now. And
I've lost count now.
You've lost count, you know. But I mean, from the start of how you started to how you are now, you know, I'm extremely proud of you, and
thank you.
You've done such wonderful work and helped so many people, you know, and I just want to congratulate you and hope that it continues and strengthens, and I know it will. And I can actually see you being on television.
I would like. That's one of my what I would love to do.
I would love you to be on television, and I think if things are meant to be, they will be. Absolutely. But I mean, so what's your next step then? Do you want to carry on with what you're doing? Do you want to add other things to what you're doing, or?
So there's so many different things. I mean, one of the things which I'm doing at the moment is I want to look into CD Baby, which is somewhere you can upload music to, and then people can download it, because it's, I know I've produced some CDs which I'm really proud about. It's all MP3s these days. But yes, I do want to be on the media, the radio. Well, I have been on a couple of times. And it's great fun being on the radio. I've not done television yet, although I've done plenty of Facebooks, but I think that's what I'd like to do. So I'm just in the process of trying to send around as much as possible to all the different media outlets to let them know what I do. And if we're doing a documentary about reincarnation, and I'd love to be asked about it. So that's my goal coming up. And I think it's possible. I'm getting excited about it.
Absolutely. I mean, Facebook's a good platform to start. And now you're on YouTube. And you've got your MP3 selling on eBay.
CDs,
eBay or
CDs found on
CD,
eBay.
sorry,
That took me enough time to work out how to do eBay, but it's done now, so it's link in the description.
So everything's expanding. Which is how it should be.
Yes, absolutely.
I believe how it should be. And you're reaching out to more and more people. I mean, next time it'll be like celebrities asking for your help. You never know.
Absolutely.
You never know. But with YouTube as well, that's another good outlet for you. And it's quite exciting overall. of how you've, like I said, how you've progressed and you've done your journey.
Yeah.
You know, and it will continue and it will get better. I know, not just past life, but like you said, what was it you just said? Sorry,
The NLP, the regression, hypnosis, reincarnation.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening. I just forgot the word.
You know, I'm often interviewing people as well, and you've got to concentrate what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
What they just said, so you've got to keep this thing.
Exactly, because I was going to ask something else as well, and it's gone.
That's right. If it was meant to be, it'll come back.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. So I mean, you've done lots and lots of studying to get where you are now, haven't you? And so anybody that doesn't know you and are following this interview and your career, because it is a career, would know now and be more interested in that subject than most people didn't know about. And the way that you do it and how that you do it makes it very entertaining and very, very easy to listen to. And I know for a fact that when you do past life regression, or hypnotherapy rather, a lot of people are very, very relaxed. They love your voice.
Yeah.
And when you first did it, I always said you've got the voice for that. And, you know, people they even sometimes fall asleep, not through boredom, because they're so relaxed.
Yes.
And that's the voice that you have. And perfect for what you do. And I think a lot of people, you know, have fallen in love with you.
Oh.
I know they have. I mean, Sam, for a start, loves you to bits, doesn't she?
Yeah, I'll send her some photo.
Yeah, oh, bless you. Yeah, so there's loads of people that wouldn't have known about the subject, wouldn't have known you, but they do know, and they know now, and it's growing. And I think that you'll get a lot of following. Just remember my question. When are you going to write a book?
Well, I'm going to write a book. Well, I've actually started a book, and I suddenly had an inspiration because there's a book, it's called Not About the Money. It's by Bob Proctor. Fantastic book. I highly recommend people if you want to progress in. It doesn't have to just be business, it can be anything. It's Bob Proctor was in The Secret. If you've seen that film at all, it's highly recommended.
What's it called?
The Secret. About law of attraction.
Don't think so.
Yeah, so Bob Proctor, it's a brilliant book. But he sort of said when you push yourself, do the things which is easiest first, and you can just get out there, get your name, start getting some
that's it, gradual process.
So yeah, I then flipped over from doing like a book that I was writing to it being like to get these CDs out, because so many people say I want a CD, and the sleep one is the next one that I'm working on. But yes, I'm going to start again, because some people might remember the other videos I was talking about, I was putting a little bit in there each day.
Yeah,
it kind of all flipped when I started getting more known for the past life regression. I thought, get the CD out there and do that. But yeah, it's going to be done, and I've got a very specific way that the book could be sort of written, because I think that I want it to be done in such a way that isn't just words about personal development, but also touches you emotionally as well. And I think that when you can actually have something that touches you emotionally as well, some magic can happen then.
You can absorb it, and things start, like you said, magical could happen. And I seriously believe that will happen, and I do believe that you will write a book, if not more than one.
Yes, yeah.
Once you get started, like me, you can't stop in a way.
Yeah.
So that's all good. That's all coming forward. There was another question, that's gone now.
But if it was meant to be, you asked that one as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have helped you along your journey, hasn't there? In the past life and the hypnotism. I know you've gone to the Isborne Centre and places like that. I mean, you move on in stages according to how you progress in your journey.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to that stage now that you are actually a master practitioner, you know, and so anybody that wants to know all about this, they can be reassured that you're not just a jumped up person that got ego and all that. No way are you like that. You've worked hard to where you've come.
Yeah.
You there's no ego about you at all, and they can tell that you're a professional person.
Yeah.
Because so many people out there will try and do videos or even write a book or whatever, and all about this, all about me, all about, you're not. You're not. You are about the people that you help.
Yeah.
And I think your book, when it comes out, when you've written it, will be self-explanatory to what you do.
Yeah.
And I know that you'll word it in a way that people will understand.
I think as well, even though I started writing it, I'm going to go back and make a few changes because I've grown as a person since when I started writing it. So I think probably a little bit of delay was right to actually get it being just right for the person.
Yeah.
And the sort of hypnosis I do, it's very kind of relaxed approach to it.
Oh yes.
And I kind of do it in such a way that it's a joyful experience for the person. Even when I do the regression and I take them to the last sort of seconds of their life and things, people come from it afterwards saying, "Oh, that's brilliant." And they also some people said to me after it's released their fear of death that they had from beforehand.
Yeah.
But I think when I've got somebody in hypnosis and I'm doing my lives, I like to think of it being that it's their interesting story, it's their past life, and it's not about me at that point. I'm just kind of helping relax somebody into a state called hypnosis, which is a self-induced state. I'm not actually hypnotizing people, I'm just it's pacing and leading hypnosis, so I'm leading people into the state they need to be in. But I try and get myself out the way and just really focus that this is for the person, it's about them really.
And you also provide after care or after therapy, or what do you call it? What do you call it? Do you need any help healing? So you provide that as well. So you don't just do that and then that's it. You progress, you go on further, which tells me straight away that that's how caring a person you are. You care about the person that you've just spoke to, interviewed, or hypnosis, past life, whatever, and it's all part and parcel of your professionalism.
Thank you.
Well, it's true, and I think anybody that would like to do anything like that with yourself, I would highly recommend. Absolutely highly recommend. And I'm so glad that it worked out on Facebook and YouTube. Because years ago we didn't have that.
Absolutely.
How would you have progressed then?
It was very hard.
It would have been very hard, wouldn't it? But now it's it's quite easy to get yourself out there.
It is. Like Joe Sugg, he was a YouTuber and he's a celebrity now. He's been on musicals. He got on Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
Purely for YouTube, and I think that it's so great having Facebook and YouTube and Instagram because it gets to show people's interest. And people get to be known and liked on it, whereas there'd been no opportunity. The one thing there was, I think it was on Channel 4, something called Takeover Television, where you had a 5-minute slot where you could do some silly daft videos. And go on there with like the camcorders, which they weren't that brilliant camcorders back in the 1990s, but it was very difficult, and you're probably a number of people that sent their videos in, but now you can just sign up to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want, and just go, there we go. It's out there. This is what I do. I mean, it can be what people like as well about these things, which is so good because I'm all about expressing themselves and loving it.
Who has inspired you the most? Probably many, but
well, I think I'd always like to thank my mum for always believing in me, encouraging me.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you. You said some lovely things about me. I want to say some lovely things about you, that you've always been such an encouraging friend. And
I wasn't plugging for Mike.
No, I know you weren't. I know you weren't.
I
I just want to say that.
Oh
as
no,
well, because
I know.
You've really
I know,
helped
darling.
me.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember you talking about Dr. Ian Stevenson and people like that. And, so I just wondered who was one of the main people that inspired you the most to carry on that you're doing.
For me, Paul McKenna, I wouldn't have got into it, wasn't reading his books. But for me, it would always be Milton Erickson, who was a hypnotist, a psychotherapist, a psychologist, and he had polio attacks twice. Basically managed to, the first time when he was quite young, sort of a teenager, to walk in again, and that's such an incredibly fascinating story, which I will share at some point as well. And later on, he was in a wheelchair, but worked throughout his entire life, and basically he was basically breathing through half a diaphragm in the end, and polio left him colourblind. The only colour he could see was purple, so he basically wore quite a lot of purple in his time.
Spiritual colour?
Yeah, absolutely. But I like his approach to what he does. Some of the stuff I probably wouldn't do, because I think to myself, like, it's such a cruel thing to do to somebody. But he would do it in such a way that instead of so many years of therapy, it would take like a couple of sessions with him, like over like a week or something. Something they had, like phobias, would be sort of cured and things. He used a lot of stories and metaphors. So the hypnosis, the way I induce people, is very similar to the way Milton Erickson would do. But then again, somebody else called Steve G. Jones, American guy, he's still going. I've learnt an awful lot from his hypnotherapy. And Dave Ellman as well. He was much faster in inductions with people, but I tend to kind of use all three to come up with my own.
So you read a lot then? Or watch videos?
Because I'm dyslexic. I mean, you can see the amount of books that are around at the moment. But I've also got Nightingale Conant programs as well, audio programs, so I learn an awful lot through.
I wouldn't know you were dyslexic. I never did know.
Okay.
I never did know till you told me. Honestly, I didn't know.
So the audio programs really, really help. And what's brilliant as well, you know, because there might be people watching as well think, well, I can't afford all these books and things, is that there's so much on YouTube. You can get a blank piece of paper, like a notepad or little journal. You can watch these YouTube and start making your own notes in your books and just go through it, and then that's your own personal development as well. So so many different ways.
I mean, you've done chat shows. Chit Chat Tuesdays.
Chit Chat Tuesdays with yourself,
and I could see you doing your own show like that, and doing a Q&A for just yourself. I mean, I know we've interviewed you, and Lindsay and John have, and you know, but I think like your radio show, it would be nice to have a channel that you could relate to what you do, and put little videos in. And I know you do little videos when you're out, and you keep in touch. And I think that's one of the main factors in keeping yourself out there. And you, even if it's just to come on and say hello, I'm here at this place, and I'm going to do this live, whatever, it keeps you in touch with the people, and people like to see you, even if it's only a 5 or 10 minutes quick video to keep yourself out there, you know, and it's more experience for you to keep doing that, and you'll only get stronger at it, and more confident. Because as you said, you didn't used to be confident. So whatever you're doing now to help other people, you've helped yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and people can see that, and they can relate to that. And I can only just reiterate what I've said, how proud I am of you. And for you to continue, because you can help more people as I help more people. And there's no such thing as coincidence. We were always meant. We were always meant to meet.
Exactly.
You know, most people don't realise that you first helped me with my ghost walks.
Yes.
And you know that escalated into the paranormal, and now all this. So you know, it was a journey for both of us, wasn't it?
Exactly.
And it's at the moment I'm enjoying this wonderful journey that we're on. And if there's anything that you would like to add or say that you'd like to do in the future, is there anything that I know you said the
radio, television?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
I think books. I think, you know, I certainly believe that life is. I mean, I believe that life is yin and yang. You know, for every real happy moment, there's also sad moments. For every real sad moment, there's happy moments. And you know, I am a believer in the law of attraction, but I also believe in that there is still the yin and yang. So sometimes it will give you something you don't want, but it can also be a lesson to you as well for understanding. Yeah,
Lindsay and Yo-Yo were on last night, late chat show.
You've lost John.
Oh, sugar. Sorry. Is it? Oh, God.
It's all right. There we go.
Is that all right?
Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah, and we were on about yin and yang.
Yeah.
And I said the universe needs a balance.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. Yeah. But what I was going to ask you just now as well, have you ever come across any doctors that don't agree with what you're doing? I know years ago they were a bit sceptical, but there's a lot of them now that are starting to believe in all this.
Yeah.
And they're starting to do other, what they call it, not conventional medicines, but you know, unconventional different ways that they know that they're helping people.
Well, I have had a few clients suggested by, there was definitely one which was a nurse suggested hypnotherapy, and I think a couple of doctors have, and I think that it's about slowing the mind. It's not been like they've had real huge psychological issues, but like stress, and they've sort of recommended having some hypnosis. They haven't said, I recommend Paul Goddard here, but they said I recommend hypnotherapy. They looked in the hypnotherapy directory, or I found my website and got in contact with me that way. So
so that's good then.
It is good.
There's never been really anybody that have said, that I don't believe in this, don't believe in that.
No.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good. But I mean, as with me, with mine, if they don't believe, they don't believe. We're given the right to free will to believe or not believe, don't we?
Yes.
But I'm pleased that it's more positive on your side. I don't think they can actually deny it when they've seen the final outcome of how you've helped people and how it's been validated, and so I can't see how they can really deny what you're doing is helping enormously a lot of people. And the mind, so they say, we don't know half of what the mind does.
No, exactly.
No, we don't even use half the mind, do we, apparently?
Well, actually, I have heard slightly differently, because I did hear you only use like a very small portion of the mind, but I think that you pretty much use all of it, but not at the same time. It's like going right. That's what I've heard. But
yeah. Well, me being me, probably got it wrong.
No,
but no, it's true. I mean, mind over matter is a lot of things to think about, and I think it copes with certain things as well. And if you can't cope with certain things, or loss of anything, or loss of bereavement or whatever, you're the one that would help.
Oh, thank you. I just realised it's that time you've got.
Oh yeah, I better go.
As well.
Yeah.
So, but it's been lovely. Thank you.
That's been nice.
It's
to
been
end
lovely,
on that.
hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
So that's it. Both Lynn and myself have been interviewed. I really hope you enjoyed watching this. Whatever you're doing, have an outstanding day. This has been a pre-recorded video, hence why I haven't been messaging or talking to anyone about, but I hope you enjoyed the efforts that we both put into this project. Anyway, good night, and I shall see you soon in another Chit Chat Tuesday, or on one of my other YouTube channels. Take care, everybody.